Not everything has to be created to be abandoned. That is the case of many theme park concepts and projects through the years. We've talked about many projects canceled by Disney before, and today we'll tell you about 6 Universal Studios projects that were never built.
Nobody else grabs you, shakes you, shoots you, blasts you, beams you, rocks you, loves you, and puts you right in the middle of all the action and adventure you've seen on the...
Talking about Universal Studios and movies, it's the perfect time to present today's sponsor, Likewise. It has happened to all of us since the Blockbuster era. You want to watch a movie, but instead of picking something and watching it, you spend hours and hours browsing the catalog not knowing what to watch. And luckily, Likewise is here to solve this problem. To use it, you just have to fill out your interest in movies or series, and just like magic, Likewise gives you amazing recommendations on what to watch, and most importantly, where to watch it. And the best part is that the recommendations not only come from smart technology, but also from real people. One of the coolest features on the app are groups. It was awesome being able to join conversations with people that have your same interests and tastes in movies and series. So again, you are getting the best tips on what to watch from people who enjoy the same stuff that you do. Also, Likewise offers daily recommendations with the feature Today's Cards, so you always have something new to watch. But not only does Likewise give you amazing recommendations for movies and series, it also has amazing suggestions on books. And many of us know that getting good book suggestions is hard. The best part is that the app is absolutely free, so click the link in the description to download it. You will get awesome recommendations, and also you'll be supporting our channel. And join our group in the app. Links in the pinned comment and in the description. Gotham Island. Let's face it, we would all probably be terrified of visiting Gotham City. But interestingly enough, we were almost able to take a stroll through, or at least a recreation of it, at Universal Studios Orlando. Back when Universal was drawing up plans for its expansion, its second theme park was supposed to run on the theme of Cartoon World. In these plans, Batman was supposed to have his own island called Gotham Island. However, plans got derailed and Cartoon World turned into Islands of Adventure. This park still featured cartoons, of course, such as the Marvel Superhero Island, but there was no Gotham Island to be seen. Those plans had been drowned along with Cartoon World. The plans included a huge Batman statue spanning 5 stories at the entrance, with his cape flowing behind him. The headline attraction was going to be an interactive dark ride, which would take you on a trip across the island. It is a shame they didn't call them Batmobiles, though. Remember Axis Chemicals from the 1989 movie version of Batman? It is where Napier turns into the evil Joker, and the Batcar was supposed to take you through that place. There was also going to be a Gotham Opera House, which would put on shows starring the iconic duo, Batman and Robin. Other than this, there were also going to be Bat Carnival games, a gift shop where you could buy anything Bat-related, and a Joker's Magic Store featuring gifts and gags. The pièce de résistance was going to be a bat signal, which would shine high up in the sky like a beacon, luring fans to the island. However, our favorite feature is the unique Bat Cave nightclub. If this plan had come to fruition, this element would have distinguished Gotham Island from the other theme parks even today. The bar was supposed to be designed like Batman's lab, complete with a dance area, laser projections, and video monitor walls. We can only hope that someday we get to actually experience something like this. Batman vs. the Penguin. We have talked about how Universal's second theme park was supposed to be known as Cartoon World, featuring a Batman-themed island before it was turned into Islands of Adventure. Well, Batman vs. the Penguin was supposed to be another attraction in Gotham Island. The theme park chose the Penguin as a main character for this ride because they thought it would be made popular once the new Batman movie released. It was supposed to be a dueling suspended roller coaster. A dueling roller coaster is one where there are 2 sets of tracks. Both the rides are dispatched at the same time, and they perform some sort of choreography together. So it is not only cool to ride, but it is also a great show to watch. In Batman vs. the Penguin, people could choose either to ride the Batman's Batwing Flyer or Penguin's Penguin Fighter. The Batwing would be dispatched from Batman's cave, while the Penguin would begin from the Penguin's subterranean lair, just as it was shown in the movies. The 2 coasters would begin at the same time and travel through 3 separate show buildings on their journey. Each building would have its own settings as well as Batman villains. There would be many near misses between the two coasters mid-air. It was supposed to simulate a dodge fight, keeping everyone on their toes. The ride was complete with special effects and even pyrotechnics. If the plan had come to fruition, this would have been a sight to behold. Even though the ride was never made, its concept remained alive and was later expanded into Dueling Dragons. And as many of us know, Dueling Dragons was turned into Dragon Challenge, and then it ultimately became Hagrid's motorbike adventure. Rocky the Flying Squirrel Coaster.
A thunder of jets in an open sky, a streak of gray, and a cheerful...
A loop, a whirl, and a vertical climb, and once again you'll know it's time for the adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle and friends.
Rocky the Flying Squirrel was a protagonist in the Rocky and Bullwinkle show. Islands of Adventure in Orlando has a Toon Lagoon. Today, it is mostly dominated by water rides. But back when it was still supposed to be Cartoon World, there were plans for Toon Lagoon to play a more dominant part. Universal had signed an agreement to feature Jay Ward's animated characters. His most famous characters were Rocky and Bullwinkle. One of the plans included having a family roller coaster dedicated completely to Rocky the Flying Squirrel. The roller coaster was supposed to be located close to Ripsaw Falls, but the plans never came to fruition. This was most likely because the final park was not completely cartoon-themed. Moreover, the Incredible Hulk coaster and Dueling Dragons were favored for roller coasters, and a theme park needs to have variety. Too many roller coasters simply won't do. Ottos Bus Ride. Are you a fan of The Simpsons, the show that seems to have predicted so many events so far?
You know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump. How bad is it, Secretary Van Houten?
We're broke.
Ever wanted to ride the Springfield Elementary bus along with Bart and the others? If you answered yes to the above questions, this one is going to be particularly hard for you, we're afraid. Islands of Adventure was supposed to have a Simpsons-themed area before the plans died away. The headline attraction was going to be a ride called Ottos Bus Ride. For those of you who don't know who Otto is, he's the cool bus driver in the Simpsons TV show and drives the bus for Springfield Elementary. Now, coming back to the ride, it was supposed to be a simulator ride themed around a school bus journey with Otto. It was also known as Bart Saves the World. We can only imagine the mischief Otto would have gotten up to if the ride had actually been built. Would he have crashed the bus into the ocean or straight into an auto wrecking yard? Maybe he would have gotten it stuck in a railroad track. We can only dream. But the news is not all bad. You may never get a chance to experience this particular ride, but Universal Studios Springfield areas have another Simpsons-themed ride for you. Known as the Simpsons Ride, it is a virtual reality roller coaster ride. Krusty the Clown is building a low-budget theme park. The indoor simulation ride begins with you crashing and blasting through this theme park. But don't worry, you have Bart, Marge, Homer, Lisa, and Maggie for company. Keep your eyes peeled for other stray Simpsons characters. You might find them scattered throughout the ride. Apollo 13 roller coaster. This one is for anybody who has ever dreamed of becoming an astronaut. The famous Apollo 13 was NASA's third attempt to land on the moon. The crew took off from the Kennedy Space Center on April 11, 1970. Unfortunately, they never landed on the moon because 56 hours into the journey, there was an oxygen tank explosion. The mission was abandoned. Much like the mission, the Apollo 13 roller coaster was also abandoned. But with such a tragic backstory, maybe it was for the best. Universal Orlando realized that it needed a new attraction at Universal Studios Florida to lure more people in. Situated in between Back to the Future the ride and Jaws, a large plot of land had already been marked for expansion. A clone of Jurassic Park the ride from Universal Studios Hollywood was supposed to be built in that land, but the plans got changed, and it was decided to build a Jurassic Park-themed area in Islands of Adventure instead. So the plot still stood vacant. Craig Hanna, a director of attraction development at Universal Studios, was recruited to come up with a concept for that plot of land. His idea was to build an indoor, category-defining roller coaster concept based on Apollo 13. If it had been built, this would have been the largest indoor roller coaster in the world at the time. The ride would have been housed in a replica of the Kennedy Space Center's enormous vehicle assembly building. Guests would board lunar landing pods similar to those used in the mission by walking across a gangplank and then crawling inside the pods. They would then go for a ride around the moon. For this thrill ride, Universal even put out a casting call for actors that looked like the astronauts who took part in Apollo 13. It would have been really cool to have been able to take a ride around the moon, but this area was scrapped because Universal decided that it would take a long time to build and they weren't willing to wait that long. Craig Hanna proposed an alternative outdoor version that would be cheaper and quicker. It looked like this was going to be a go, but due to concerns regarding noise complaints from local residents, this plan was also scrapped. The Simpsons Dark Ride. When the plans for the Apollo 13 roller coaster were scrapped, Universal asked Craig Hanna to come up with a plan for a different ride. They decided that this time, the ride would be designed with a younger audience in mind. Craig Hanna turned to Nickelodeon for inspiration. He finally settled on The Simpsons, the long-running animated TV show. The story behind the dark ride was going to be something like this. The Simpsons family had won a contest to come to Orlando. The ride would document their trip, including a satirical narrative of Orlando's theme parks. However, instead of the Simpsons Dark Ride, Men in Black Alien Attack was built instead. But the ideas that Craig Hanna had for this ride were revisited at a later date. They were modified and turned into the virtual reality ride we mentioned above, the Simpsons ride at Universal Studios Florida. So it didn't all go to waste. We hope you enjoyed taking this virtual trip through the possibility of everything that could have been. But we are not done yet. There are many more rides that were never built, and we will be back very soon with a part 2 to tell you all about them.